This is from the Skateology book of the Incredible Edger. I was at first trying to sharpen a pair of skates that were stainless base skates, and I had a fine stone, but I thought it was a medium because I didn't have it really marked well. So that left divots in it, so I ended up using a medium stone, and I bumped the RPM up and got a acceptable finish for what I wanted to do using stainless steel figured blades with a medium stone, but I bumped the RPM up by a ratio of 75/60. Because I've got a bunch of different vintages of Incredible Edger stones, sometimes I get confused because I equate the color to whether they're fine, medium, or coarse. And these came with the machine I bought used years ago. The medium ones are kind of a slightly purplish color. May not show up that well. This is like a slight purple right here. This is blue. This is purple. And these fine ones I got from Sid probably like 6 years ago. They're gray. And over here, I've got fine ones here. It says 2022 that are gray. And I have some medium ones I got, which are gray. So where I got confused here is that this one here I've gone through and marked fine a while back because I took it off and looked what it said on the indicator on there. But I was cutting some stainless moderate price pair of skates here, the Ultima 1, and they were kind of gummy, and it's really kind of tearing the wheel up in the sense that you just do a couple passes and it's got ruts in it. So I'm going to go ahead and change to a medium stone here and proceed to cut that. So these, I think this is the base blade for Jackson, and it's a stainless, but it's not a high-end stainless. So what it's doing is it's tending to goof the wheel. Okay, I'm going to record sharpening with a medium stone here, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. This is just a base blade, a Mark 1, and since the wheel's smaller in diameter because it's worn down, I'm going to bump the speed up. So I've got an inverter set right now for 60 Hertz. Then right now I'm going to go ahead and bump it up to 70 Hertz. Okay, I've got it set to 70 Hertz. 70 Hertz right now, so the wheel's going to spin quicker. A little bit of a whoop-de-doo there. I'm going to go up to 75 Hertz. I've dropped the voltage down to about 105 so I don't saturate the core and the motor. We'll go back here and dress this just a little bit. I don't have the vacuum on just to make it a little bit easier to hear. This skate, brand new, the tail's already been turned down from the factory. So, very strange. But the skate does machine fast better, get the surface speed up. I've got an engineering special inverter, very high end. It puts out a sine wave for testing motors. and it's got a motor start feature, and I can vary the AC frequency. So you'll get a bunch of resonances in here if you sweep through that. But this particular blade here is a base model stainless, a Mark I in Jackson, and I tried with the fine wheel and it just was leaving divots in it. It didn't really machine all that well. So going down to the coarse, I was able to get a fairly good edge on it. Now here, there's one little area here, it's still not fully sharp, which is kind of means I've got to do more passes if I really want to get this one edge done here, and that's just a factory blade. And I do have a shim in here. There's the Mark I, because these blades are only 135 thousandths thick. They're not 4 millimeters, they're smaller than 4. So now I've got this where that's just about good enough through there. But these almost have no spin rocker on them. And there's the running the disc at a higher RPM with a medium stone. I really don't like to use the medium. I've got a coarse one. I think I've got 2 coarse ones I got for the profiling. I've mostly used fine stones, but some of these skates that are stainless that are come in that are just the starter grade stainless are they don't really like to machine very well with the fine stone. Use the square here, go through and verify this is square through here. This shim being in the way, you have to make sure you don't do that. Have a false indication. These do have a little bit of string pieces on it. Kind of a gummy stainless. Okay, here's the other blade. It's a Jackson Ultima Mark I. The factory's got this tail here is already turned down, which means if you look at the radius along here, this is actually turned down, and these are brand new out of the box. They're very strange. Got the shim under there. And I measured both of these thicknesses with the caliper. So you can do a test turn like this, where you put a mark on here and then go through and turn this to view how it's cutting, and you do that at both ends. Over here, mark this, and then you see the pattern. And I'm going to go for it here because I already measured the thickness with both blades. And I've been doing that more and more, is to measure the thickness on people's blades, keeping a log of it, because I've gotten thrown for a loop where a lot of these are not 4 millimeter anymore. That didn't sound great through there. And you can see here it's not cutting the one place there, so I need to go back and put my square on here, see what's going on. It's square there, so they may not be square from the factory. So the touch mark doesn't really mean anything if they're tilted at the factory. You need to get it with these cheap blades, you need to get it with respect to the outside edge or any blade. There's the shot of the shim under there. I'm actually going to reposition these a little bit. I'm going to go through and make sure the shim is pulled all the way in so I don't get in the way of you measuring it with the square. So I'm trying to push the shim in while I tighten this down. So we're going to go ahead and dress the wheel here again. And this blade here, I've done about 6 or 7 passes, and it's square with respect to this edge with the square, but the factory edges are tilted, so it's got to do a couple more passes before this inside edge is actually sharpening. It sounded a little weird there. Again, this area here is already turned down from the factory. It's not like somebody sit there and welded it on a tabletop machine. So now I've got an edge right here on the inside. And those are square. What I probably should do is I should probably try, in another pair of skates, I should try the fine wheel and vary the RPM to see if I can use a fine wheel with the low end stainless blades. It bumped the RPM up. I can feel these are gummy, boy, they're gummy. Got a good edge on both sides. Now here the screwy thing is, if I was going to say I was going to get this thing right here absolutely sharp, I would have to take off probably a 1/2 millimeter along this whole thing. So when these were made, it's like they've gone through and they've already, in China, wherever these are made, they've already got this thing scooted down this way. It's like it's already a banana blade. So this back portion is already tilted down from a factory blade. A little bit aggravating. One thing, I don't know if people want to comment, is do you know, if the non-skatable zone is, you touch this like here, it's probably about here. from here to here is the non-scalable zone. So should you start sharpening here, go a little bit back and go to that. And these have got a very little, the spin radius, spin rocker here is almost not the greatest. But over here, the radius on this gets smaller and smaller toward the back with a brand new blade before I even sharpened it, which is a little bit I don't know if they just don't understand or they don't care, or just that's just the way it is. So for clarity, what I've done is I've used a 60 Hertz North American motor, and I'm running it on 75 Hertz at about 105 or 108 volts, around that range. So if you bump up the frequency, you'll run into where the current can go up because the core saturation of the motor. So I've dropped the voltage down a little bit. If that makes any sense. And now after I've sharpened with this wheel here, you don't see a divot, whereas on this fine wheel here you got the where is it? You got the mark through here. I can see this. So in sharpening this edge, trying to get it down, it's created kind of a mess on there. Is a 1/2 inch radius of hollow, what I used. So great stuff.